Hey, what's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2017 Career Mode, episode number 135 today for the Malaysian Grand Prix in Season 7. If you did miss the last episode, be sure to go check that one out before you see this one at the Singapore Grand Prix, and be sure to turn on notifications, guys, that bell icon on my channel to never miss a video. YouTube's been very, very iffy lately with kind of sub feeds and notifications, all that, so be sure to hit that bell so you never miss a video. But let's get into this then. 135, the Malaysian Grand Prix, pretty much kind of like a yo-yo right now in this phase of the season. We had a blip in Italy, or kind of a half blip. Obviously, we had that massive crash with Hamilton at the beginning there. We kind of came back and fought back. Singapore usually is quite a difficult one for the Mercedes car. We actually managed to pull out a really fantastic result there, so be sure to, as I said, see that episode to kind of get what I mean. But here at Malaysia, this will be kind of the biggest blip and the biggest test, really, in terms of damage limitation, really, because Malaysia has always been a very tough one on this game. The AI are very, very good around Malaysia, consistency-wise and also just pace-wise as well. I'm thinking through the second last corner, that, very difficult right-hander, which is already, in general, one of the most, trickiest corners in Formula 1 in general. But on this specific game, AI are very, very good on the turn and the traction out of that. And so that's going to be a big, big issue for us in terms of hopefully trying to keep cars behind or, stay ahead. I don't really know. We won't know until we get to qualifying. But we had rain in Singapore, which was surprising, being the Singapore Grand Prix. But it looks like we may have some rain here at the Malaysian Grand Prix later on in this episode. So let's see how that goes. But before we get into that, going through practice, and then after practice, we've got given our brand new rival, which is Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari, which is kind of fitting because, of course, the entire storyline of this Season 7 has been us trying to just beat the Ferraris as consistently as possible. And obviously, having Vettel there is going to be the kind of goal to beat now, literally, in the game, not just for ourselves saying we want to beat Vettel, because previously we had Hulkenberg as our actual main rival in the game, but I was focusing more on Ferrari now. Obviously, we've got a huge kind of lead in the championship, so really, honestly, I'm just looking at trying to beat Ferrari when I can, and I think I have enough points in the bag where I can maybe afford to maybe lose out on some places here and there to other teams, and just try and focus on beating Ferrari if we can, to hopefully get a contract at the end of this season. I'm still not too sure about that, because I've talked about it before, but I still think my career mode save now is pretty much a little bit glitched in a way of I won't be getting a contract. I really hope that's not the case, but we'll have to see. But anyway, as I've been talking about all that, we've gone into qualifying. You can see it is heavy rain here, so we're going to come across the line, and it's going to be P6 on the grid there, so pretty decent actually. Hamilton does out-qualify us, but obviously, all things considered, usually not great in the full wet conditions. P6, I will take that. Nico Hulkenberg, though, and Perez, 1-2 there, my two main championship rivals in first and second there. We did beat both Ferraris, though, and Fernando Alonso there did a great job to be beating Kimi Raikkonen and split the two Ferrari cars, so looks like Ferrari on the back foot here today, and looks like my two main championship rivals looking good. But as I said, I'm going to try and just beat Hamilton if I can, and then keep ahead of these two Ferrari cars, and that'll be the best bet in terms of getting that reputation level up. And I don't know, we'll see what we're doing the strategy wise. We go towards the race. It actually looks like it may be raining at the start of this Grand Prix, so this is going to be a very tricky and tentative start to this race maybe, but I was about to say strategy wise we could do something to try and beat Perez and Hulkenberg. We'll see. It looks like the Ferrari there has the dry tyres on, so it may be a case of kind of 2012 Brazil, kind of that kind of way, where it's raining but it's still not wet enough for the wet tyres. So we'll see how that goes. We're going to go to the full grid, and we'll see what the strategy kind of opens up for us.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Nico Hulkenberg lines up on pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Ocon, Verstappen, a Mercedes, and Vettel, Alonso, Hamilton, Raikkonen, and Felipe Massa, Ricciardo, Wehrlein, Lance Stroll, and Magnussen, Van Dorn, Ericsson, Jolyon Palmer, and Carlos Sainz. Kvyat and Roman Grosjean starts from the back of the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Right, so here we are then on the starting grid, and we are on Supersofts right now, and at the same time you can clearly see spits of rain falling on the track there, so this is going to be a very literal slippery start to the Grand Prix then. I think it's a case of, it looks like on the indicator, it's going to get dry pretty rapidly, and then, interestingly enough, it's going to be again raining at the end of this race, so we're on a two sets of Supersoft tyres and one set of soft tyres, but who knows, we might need a set of inters right at the end of this race, but we're all starting on dries here, so here we go then to P5. Red lights to the Malaysian Grand Prix. Round number 15 of this season is underway, and it is a gingerly start there. Looks like Perez there with a slow one, and Verstappen with a great start. Also on the left-hand side, Sebastian Vettel, my main rival now in the game, is passes with a good start, and Alonso out of nowhere down the inside. He's made a fantastic start, the Spaniard has, into turn 1. We're going to try and squeeze out Sebastian Vettel. He's still on our inside as Alonso tries to fend, go around the outside of Verstappen, and Verstappen fends him off quite well. And so as we kind of just snake across, we get the power down. We're going to try and re-overtake Alonso if we can. Obviously 7 seasons gone, and that Honda engine still isn't that great, so we power past him very easily. In fact, in the brake zone, then tiptoe around, dance around him really, and we're up into P5. But clearly conditions not ideal, lifting off majorly now into the left-hander, where usually if it was fully dry, it's pretty much flat almost if you're low enough fuel and have enough downforce there. So I'm taking it nice and easy, but back into P5 after a very poor start there. Obviously the AI I've mentioned before are very, very good on traction in general, and so no surprise really for me at the start of that race. A lot of them had a much better start than me, but now here we go on the exit of the last corner on towards lap 2 at the moment there. It's Perez ahead of us then, Ocon in 3rd place, Perez chasing after. I think that's Nico Hülkenberg in 1st place there, so it's the Renault and then 2 Force Indias, but we're past Verstappen. We went a little bit deep into turn 1 though. He's still there on the right hand side, so we park on the apex, open up the steering wheel, go wide on purpose on the exit and push him out there. Interestingly enough, I'm the only man, it looks like at the moment, around me at least, on super softs. Verstappen on soft tyres, I'm assuming both Force Indias maybe on soft tyres. So are they trying a cheeky one stop? If they are, that is going to be intriguing to see. Maybe I've already kind of walked on my own toes almost in terms of the strategy, because maybe I'm going to have to make an extra pit stop compared to these guys if we don't need the inters at the end here. If there is inters needed at the end, I feel like me being on a more aggressive strategy is going to be the better one, but we'll have to see about that. But Ocon now defends to the inside there. We tried to maybe look around the outside, didn't quite work there, and you can see getting parked on the apex by Ocon. Meanwhile, Perez right up the gearbox of Hülkenberg for P1. Unable to make anything work though with S-Band there, with the dirty air taking effect into turn 2 on the exit, just not getting the traction down. It's still raining. You can see I'm on lean mixture to try and stop the tyres slipping a little bit under the acceleration out of the corners, but at the moment it's still raining quite hard. We've got big droplets of rain on the left and right hand side of the screen, but somehow all of us are still going pretty well on dry tyres. So pretty much, I joked about it, but pretty much it is like 2012 Brazilian Grand Prix, where it looked so wet, but it was still good enough for the slick tyres. And so we move into the last corner now on the end of lap 4. We've got DRS available, so the FI clearly think it's safe enough, and you can see now the sun is starting to peek through the clouds there. So I think slowly but surely the track's just going to get faster and faster here. But can we make a move into turn 1 now? We have a peak again. Ocon locks up actually there as the tyre smoke comes off, and he fends well. I don't think he really meant to defend that well from me, to be honest. I think the lockup kind of helped him in a way. But we've got to change the strategy on the right hand side of our screen. The heads-up display engineer thinking maybe an earlier stop for us. We're going to at the moment stick with what we've got. Ocon goes somewhat defensive to the middle of the track. We go down his inside purple first sector, so we're going faster and faster here in this Grand Prix. We're side by side with the Frenchman there on the right hand side. He squeezed us towards the grass. A little bit of right hand side got on the grass even, and we lost a bit of grip. And Ocon around the outside. It's a fantastic move for the Frenchman. A bit of contact is made, and he stays ahead. So Ocon with a pretty good defense, annoying one for me, but good for him, I guess, and he stays ahead. So that was quite frustrating. I thought I had the grip, but I think it was that little bit of touching the grass that just didn't let me have the ultimate grip I needed to pull it off on the right hand side. And now we move on to lap 7. We're coming in a lot earlier. We've got Kimi Raikkonen. I think that was out this race. So I asked you guys last episode, the Singapore Grand Prix, do you guys have the same kind of thing with Ferrari? Kind of half and half. Some of you saying yes in your career mode saves. Ferrari also have the same bad luck, and some others saying no. So I guess it's kind of 50-50 there. But certainly in my save, yet again, another Ferrari has an issue. So a couple of you guys were saying, yeah, I think it pretty much has been once an episode, and so far, yeah, we're continuing on. Let's see if we can maybe have all 20 episodes with one Ferrari having a catastrophe, because there's the Iceman out of the Grand Prix then, as we are into the pits, and we're out now onto a set of super soft tyres. The sun is well and truly out, and it's definitely now the dry conditions. No more rain for us until maybe the end of the Grand Prix, as now we go through onto the end of this next lap on towards lap 9. You can see a few people in the pit lane, a few people came in, a few people coming out the pit lane, and we're going to just get ahead then of Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari. We're ahead of him already, but looks like he's jumped a few places, perhaps obviously being helped out, obviously jumped one place because his teammate was out of the Grand Prix. And as we come down the main straight on lap 10, we're getting more positions, and we're now up into P8. We've got the two Saubers actually ahead of us, both on soft tyres, I think. I want to say at least the one ahead of us, Pascal Wehrlein, on soft tyres, but I would imagine both of them on soft tyres, going long in this Grand Prix, being on those sets of tyres from the beginning of the Grand Prix. But Wehrlein goes on the grass a little bit there on the rumble strip. He's slow. Can we try and make a move with the double right hander? We have to lift off there, as I had better grip, but I was going to slam into his gearbox if I accelerated as hard as I wanted to. But now we're going to make a move down the inside there. The German's going to put up a good defensive move, though. As you can see, he's got the better traction actually, as I lose the back end somewhat, and he's still there on my inside. We're going to have to try and go the long way around, and we're trying to feed it through, but I don't actually have the grip for some reason. I just can't make this happen, and for some reason the Sauber puts up a pretty damn good fight there, surprisingly, and fair play to Wehrlein. But we're finally up into P7, and now we'll try and catch up to Marcus Ericsson, the Swede, in the other Sauber, also on soft tyres, as I said. But you can see on the right hand side, I'm critical on fuel, so as we make this very easy pass then on Ericsson compared to his teammate Wehrlein, I'm going to have to watch out for the fuel, because I'm trying to push as hard as I can on the straights, and just generally through the corners you can see slipping and sliding, maybe just overdriving the car somewhat, so maybe I need to try and calm down a little bit. But at some point we need to save some fuel and go in lean mixture. I really think actually maybe that's honestly maybe the next upgrade we need to do is fuel efficiencies. Now we move on to lap 12 then, back into the action. Sebastian Vettel, who I mentioned before, was behind us, who's gained some time there in that first stint in the pit stops here. He's right behind us, so he's got DRS wide open. We go defensive to the right hand side, really quite close to the wall there. Is the German going to pull to the left to try and make a move? I think he is. We brake a little bit early to maybe try and keep this tight line here. Going to try and open up the steering wheel a little bit, try and push him into the apex. Doesn't quite work out. Vettel has almost gone the grass there to try and make the move down his inside. He is actually ahead of us there, but we go side by side still with one of our main rivals throughout this entire career mode. All 7 seasons we've been battling Vettel left, right and centre, and it's no different here on episode 135. Down his inside there, we're going to squeeze him out. Very aggressive there, and we're going to keep ahead for that position, and Vettel has to tuck in behind. So a nice another little battle with Sebastian Vettel in the Scuderia Ferrari car. I'm going to keep P6 for now. It looks like Hulkenberg is on super soft tyres ahead of us, and I would suggest, I think my confirmation is correct from earlier. I think a lot of those guys who start on soft tyres, the 2 Force Indias, the Red Bull cars, I think they're trying a 1-stop, whereas Hulkenberg, myself, and Vettel are all on a 2-stop. So I don't want to call it too early, but I think all 3 of us, the 2 Germans and myself, I think we might find it quite hard to try and overtake the 1-stoppers, because I think they've gained quite a lot of time by not doing 1 extra stop. But now you can see we've got more concerning things. We're still fighting Sebastian Vettel here into turn 1. The German yet again round the outside, and look at that, so aggressive round the outside there. He's just got such a great turn in there, Vettel does, into turn 2. I try and make a switchback move work to try and straight up the car faster than Vettel does. Doesn't quite work out because I get a lot of oversteer, but then down this little straight we get a lot of time there with the Mercedes engine in rich mix there. Can we try and make a move around the outside? Doesn't work out. We're going to try a switchback move here now. We'll get on the power a lot earlier than Sebastian Vettel will on the left hand side. He's gone a little bit deep into that corner actually and hit the grass a tad, and we're going to go around the outside. It's going to be close. Bit of contact made with the barge boards, but we squeeze them out and we stay ahead once again in P5. But that was even closer there with Vettel, but an absolute great ding-dong battle, I guess you could say, once again for all time's sake against him. And now we go a little bit deep onto that last corner, and again Vettel's going to have another chance, so maybe 3rd time lucky for the German. We squeeze him towards the left-hand side a little bit there. We've got some cars coming out the pit lane, or 1 car to be specific there, and we're up into P4 now. So I think that was perhaps Hulkenberg. I couldn't quite remember on the top left there, but Vettel now swings down the inside. I've gone deep into turn 1, but we cut back across, parked the apex there, and like Vettel did similarly on that first attempt he had, we really went quite aggressive over the curbing on that second turn to stay ahead of him now. But now eventually on lap 17 with 11 laps to go, we're in for our final pit stop now to soft tyres. It was indeed Hulkenberg then that came out of the pit lane that we overtook momentarily, but he's back ahead of us now. But you can see there it's myself, Vettel, and then I think that's the McLaren Honda of Fernando Alonso, who's not doing too bad of a job to actually stick with us here. But you can see what I mean. We haven't seen now the Red Bull cars or the Force Indies this entire race, and I think they're too far ahead of us. I don't think me, Vettel, or Alonso, or Hulkenberg can match them in terms of pace And in terms of the strategy, I think the one-stop's actually been the way to go. I went with the two-stop being the default strategy. Lewis has done the same. Hamilton's nowhere to be seen in this entire top 10. But I maybe counted too much on that rain at the beginning and at the end of this race. That's still yet to come with 7 laps to go to maybe be more of a deciding factor. Because you can see with 7 laps to go, there is no clouds in the sky at the moment. So it's either going to be pretty much no rain at the end, or there's going to be a lot of rain in a very short space of time. Because at the moment, it's a 1-2 for Force India. Perez in the lead, Ocon in second. Then you've got Max Verstappen in third place then. Then it's Nico Hülkenberg ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. So actually fair play to Hülkenberg. He's actually managed to at least overtake one of these cars on a one-stop there. Whereas me and Vettel are still behind Ricciardo with some way to go until we even catch up to the back end of him. We move on now to a replay of Sergio Perez in the lead, as I mentioned then. And, way in the lead ahead of Ocon. Then coming up behind some lap cars, the Toro Rosso. Oh! There's been contact for Perez. He's out. He's out. Completely out of the Grand Prix. No, he's still going. But he's spun massively. Damage to his front wing there. And from the lead of this Grand Prix, Sergio Perez may just lose this race win. There goes Ocon up to first place from second. Then also Max Verstappen up into second place now. Perez just limping back onto the circuit in third place. But let's look at a replay now on board. And oh my, what on earth has happened there? I don't know what the Toro Rosso was thinking. Both of them were fighting, the Toro Rosso and the Sauber, but the Toro Rosso, I think of Kvyat, slowed down massively into the apex, and Perez just did not see it coming and just got absolutely no-scoped out the Grand Prix lead. Spun rounds, and he's had front wing damage, so now he's out of the pit lane on Supersofts. But you can see this is how much of a race lead he had. He's made an extra pit stop that he didn't mean to make, and he's still ahead of me on Supersoft tires. And now, as we move on to the second last lap of the Grand Prix, here comes that rain, but we're only in P6. And actually, rather than looking forward, I'm looking back behind me because Fernando Alonso is up into P7. He's overtaken the McLaren Honda, has overtaken the Ferrari, with DRS now disabled there. So Ferrari having a really horrid day in the office with Raikkonen already out and Vettel going backwards now. But with only a lap and a half to go, the rain's really come down. But it's too late in the race to really to be putting on intermediates. I don't think. I don't think anyone is gonna bother putting on intermediates. So really now it's a case of, I thought the beginning of this Grand Prix was skating around and being a little bit slippery and slidey. This is going to be true slip and slide action at the moment. We're going to basically be tiptoeing around this entire circuit because we move on to the last half of the Grand Prix. Look at this, just how easy I'm going. We're only in 4th gear now at this point, whereas usually it'd be up into 6th gear, just absolutely revving the hell out of the car because I've just got no grip there. Alonso really, really good on traction there. Maybe the lack of power on the Honda helping him out there, but you can see through the next right-hander, really easy on throttle, and Alonso is still there as we go on to the last bit of this lap now, lap 28. Alonso gaining and gaining here, but then he has a bit of a slide here. He's going a little bit wide, and oh, Alonso! Oh, the double world champion, he's spun it around, he's on the grass, and the AI making mistakes left, right, and centre. Vettel's through, Hamilton's through, and Alonso, it would have been a great position for him, but now he's behind my teammate and Vettel there. Fantastic stuff, though, to see such a spectacular mistake from an AI car as we go into the last corner now, and it's going to be P6, Perez P5. I think it's going to be Esteban Ocon, his teammate, to win the Malaysian Grand Prix, and what an odd Malaysian Grand Prix that was. This entire race, I just couldn't call how it was going to pan out, you know. It could have panned out one way. If it didn't rain at the beginning, then could have gone another. If it didn't rain so hard at the end here, if Perez didn't spin, a lot of different factors made for a very, very hectic Malaysian Grand Prix. In the end, though, P6, ahead of my teammate, ahead of both Ferrari cars. That's pretty much, big thumbs up in terms of ticking all the boxes for reputation level, all that good jazz. Obviously, yes, we lost some points to Hülkenberg and Sergio Perez. Hülkenberg on the podium there, of course, but we had such a good cushion that, as I said, it doesn't really matter too much. It's the good thing that especially after our one last race, that really did help out here and punched us quite a bit ahead. So really, I'm just looking at that reputation level now because if we move on to the Drivers' Championship, still got very good cushion, and we very well could wrap up the Drivers' Championship earlier than the last race of the season. Constructors wise as well, we're still very much ahead. Force India in second place, Red Bull still ahead of Renault. So even though with the resurgence of Hülkenberg there, Red Bull coming back for a late punch against the Renault team, the Works Renault team, obviously with the Renault engine in the back of the Red Bull car. But you can see reputation wise, we lost out to every team apart from Ferrari. We actually, because we didn't go ahead of our session goal, we actually got a minus reputation there, but we beat our teammate and we beat the Ferrari car, so we got a bit of a green positive on the Ferrari team. I'm still not sure that's enough to get a Ferrari contract, but we'll have to see. But anyway, I mentioned in the middle of that race about upgrades, about the fact that our car was so thirsty on fuel. Obviously, it's the way I drive as well, revving out the engine quite a bit, but I think that's a reason for us to get the fuel consumption upgrade. So probably our last upgrade of this entire season for the Mercedes team, and so we're going to upgrade a major fuel consumption upgrade. So that's going to come in 4 races time, so you know, quite late on to the season. Pretty much only the last round I'm going to get used to that, but still upgrades and upgrades, so that's going to be the way to go. But guys, if you did enjoy this episode, then smash the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you are new around here, do get subscribed for weekly forum content. I've been Aarava. Hope you enjoyed the rest of the day, and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.